T1, we're looking for just before 100 meters we start braking. So there's the braking, and then start tipping the car in. You can aim for the curb. The curb's not really a problem. If you aim for the curb, don't give it any throttle until you're off the curb. You want to hold your throttle until you're relatively straight. You can opt to shift into second gear for the exit after the apex if you want. So I haven't, there's starting to give it some throttle, but it's nowhere near full. And then we start to straighten up. If you're in second gear, I think you can start giving it full throttle around here with the turbo lag. Okay, so I haven't even gone full throttle yet. I'm already shifting into second gear. You don't want to be on the outside exit curb. Okay, so stay on the dry, pointing it down towards Eau Rouge, flat, not a problem. Now, for Eau Rouge, we want to start braking relatively early. So what's that? Before this red marshal post on the right, on the brakes, we want to go down to third gear. Aim for that first left apex. You can clip the curb, it's not too much of a problem, but the right-hander, you don't want to really be touching the curb. And then the whole way up, you don't want to be anywhere near full throttle. You can give it some throttle to maintain some speed, but it's relatively low just to maintain speed on the uphill. So there we are, down into third. We don't really touch the curb. And then still on the brakes, but not full braking. Remember, it's pretty wet down here on the downhill section. So still half on the brakes. Aim for the curb. I don't really suggest you go for the curb. It's not optimal. Bit of risk involved. Okay, and now no throttle if you've touched the curb until you're off the curb. Okay, still half throttle. Don't touch this left curb. That curb is so bloody wet, it's not worth it. And then don't touch the exit curb either. Once you're finished with the elevation, pointing in a straight line, yeah, then we can go full throttle, fourth gear now. And now it's quite wet on the left. I know the normal racing line is on the far left side. You don't really want that. You want to stay kind of in the middle. And then 150 meters, there we start. We're already full brakes before 150 meters. Down into second gear. Don't want to be anywhere near that left curb. Start gently tipping it in. You don't want to be on that right curb again. Curbs aren't your friends in the wet. Okay, no full throttle. You can have some just to maintain some speed. No left curb again. Don't touch that right exit curb. And then the track falls away from you, so you don't really want to be full throttle until you're in a straight line here. See, I didn't get full throttle. If we go back, I never got full throttle on this straight. Okay, just minimizing wheel spin. And then this turn, you can actually go quite fast. You can go faster than I did here. You can just touch that inside curb if you want. Don't want to be on that left exit curb. That is so slippery. Okay, and then down here, this next turn, brake hard, brake early. It's a really, really slow turn. It's much slower than you think. Down in the second, okay, keep trail braking, and then the track falls away from you around here. So you want to still be slowing down, otherwise if you touch any of that wet stuff on the outside, you're screwed. Just keep it nice and slow, and then on the exit, okay, and we want a short shift here into third. That ensures that we get a nice exit out of the next left-hander. Okay, third, no full brakes, you saw that. Okay, so I don't think I even got full throttle here anywhere. Just half, and then because I touched the curb, I had to come off the throttle. Preferably don't touch the curb. Okay, and then third gear, never got full throttle, and then I'm not even using full brakes. I'm only using the brakes to help rotate the car in. Don't want to touch that inside curb. Don't want to touch the outside curb. See, short shift into third gear, flat once you're straight. No wheel spin. Down here, the next one's tricky again. It's slower than you think. 50 meters on the brakes. Slow it right down. You don't want to touch any curbs here. You don't want to drift too far right. I know the normal racing line is to use all the curb on the right. You don't want to do that. It's too bloody slippery. So, you know, I'm not even giving it too much throttle. It's just to maintain a little bit of speed, help me adjust the line. Okay, so even here, no full throttle. It's just not worth that risk. And then off the throttle again, just to help rotate the car in. You don't want to touch that curb, because that's exactly what happens if you do. Don't touch that curb. Don't touch the outside curb. Okay, now we go flat down into fourth. And then just before that gantry, we want to be braking. Before the gantry, down into second. Nice and slow. Stay on this dark patch stuff. The sun gets in the way, you can't see where the wet line is. As usual, don't touch the curb. Don't use the whole track. Don't give full throttle. Just use the throttle to control the line. There we go. Don't touch the outside curb again. And nice and slow here. This sector is critical. This leads into the last long straight. You want all the speed you can, so it's all about no wheel spin. It's all about fast corner exit, which means your corner entry does not really matter. So let's look at that section again before the double right-handers. On the brakes before the curbs on the left start. Don't want to touch them. Okay, down into second. Don't want to touch that inside curb. Just stay on the dry line. Okay, I'm not even full throttle yet. Don't touch that outside curb. Now we go full throttle. Straight, but it's not for long. And then there we go. On just a touch of the brakes. If you lift early, I don't think you need the brakes. But as you can see, if we frame it at the right spot, it is really wet here. So you can't afford to be having a late turn in. You need to tip it in and then just be patient. No wheel spin on this corner exit. Don't touch that curb. Don't touch the outside curb. Now I'm straight. This part is obviously wet. That's all going to be wet. Now we go third gear, straight line, punch it. Now, this is the tricky part. You chain the whole lap together, don't fuck this up. Under the gantry, you've seen I've already lifted. We go back. There we go, under the gantry, already off the throttle, and no brake. And then we just let it coast. Keep it on the wet, keep it on the dry stuff. You can see the wet line there. Now, you won't be able to see where the wet line is here because of the freaking sun. So, just coasting, see, if we go back, coasting, no throttle, no throttle. Now I give it just a dab of brakes. It's not full brakes, it's just brakes to slow it down. You're not looking to deep brake or anything here. And then I've turned in early, really early, because I don't know where the wet stuff is. So I have no throttle or no brake input. It is just coasting through this damn turn to survive. Don't touch the inside curb. And then, right, now you can see there's wet there, and it will be wet on the curb. So once again, just stay on this roughly lighter part of the tarmac, and now we can punch it. Okay, now you can see wet, stay on the dry. We can start giving it full throttle, and then we're going to be braking for the bus stop, and 150 meters on the brakes, down into first gear, and you're so slow you can't touch those curbs there if you really wanted to. And nice exit. There we go, job done. The tricky parts are just the fast corners. The slow corners aren't a problem, it's the fast corners.